WISHDOIT have sent me their new World Time GMT piece, and this one boasts a very eco-friendly green message. That being said, I don't really care about that. I am here for the watch. It has a beautiful display and a seriously robust casing. If you find it interesting, it's linked in the description. My name is Jason, I'm your watch guy today. Let's get into it. The most striking part of this watch for me is the globe depiction in the center of the dial. And if you stick around for the loom shot, you'll see why it's a killer. The dial is intricate and packed with features, but we are not going to start there. We are going to start with the casing. Beyond being a robust and dominant profile, this one is actually really intricate with its exoskeleton style design. It is built in 100% recycled stainless steel, which definitely plays into the eco-friendly nature of this release. But personally, I am more impressed by the fantastic cutaways, the black negatives throughout the casing, and the beautiful angles. Playing into those angles are the crown guards, which protect this really well thought out and colour matched crown. It's signed and it is a pull push crown. Matching that up with the screwed in case back, you can see why this one comes in at 50 meters water resistant. Through that display case back, you can see the NH34 movement, which powers this GMT piece. It's not the most beautiful movement to look at, but it certainly does the job, and it makes this so much more affordable than it would have been before Seiko's release. Speaking of which, it comes in at £330 retail. Now they do have 30% off for their Valentine's Day sale. If you're like me, you'll be treating yourself this Valentine's Day, so that'll bring it down to £230 for you, which in my opinion is a pretty good deal. The casing is completed with a sapphire crystal. Now that's exactly what we expect from any brand that is worth our attention at this type of price range. The black coating to the core of this casing accents the exoskeleton design of the case itself perfectly, and that also flows in to the lower bezel ring. The upper part of that bezel follows in with the rest of the case. It has a fine circular brushing to it, it is robust, and that gear-like shaping really flows with the design of this watch. The casing is definitely on the larger side. It is 43mm in diameter and it comes in at 12mm thick, but that is not the most dominating part of this watch. That is definitely the display. There are so many factors and functions to this multi-layered display. You really need to take it part by part to fully appreciate everything that they've done. The World Time outer ring has 24 different cities printed to it, but it also acts as a chapter ring and gives the dial a really nice level of depth into that casing. On the certain cities that are printed in white, it makes them very legible and easy to read. What I will say is the pale blue printed cities have a little bit more of an ambiguous tone to them and are a little bit harder to read at first glance. That pale blue, however, works perfectly for the GMT wheel that is set around the outer edge of the inner dial. It is also set lower than the inner dial to again play into this level of depth that this entire display is trying to push. Once again, the main dial has plenty of levels to it. I'm sure you're sick of hearing me say that, but I swear it's the last time. My favorite part is that they have squashed a transparent layer on top of that globe depiction. Now it shows the northern hemisphere of the globe. Personally, I haven't been able to pick out the UK on it yet, but I'm sure I'll find it. This also plays into the loom shot. Make sure you're sticking around for that. This genuinely shows how much thought has actually gone into the design of the piece, and it's nice to see a brand that are only playing around the £300 mark still putting this type of detail in. The indices are applied throughout the dial and they are matched up to the date wheels frame. Again, another function that we have to take into account here. This one doesn't take away from the dial as much as it would on other pieces. I think the frame definitely helps it plenty, but I would have preferred to see it at 6 o'clock. We have a broad fence post handset. It does have loomed aspects to it, but it is also skeletonized, which I think is definitely a nod to the exoskeleton casing. It also allows us to get a much better view to the dial and almost pushes towards a floating style of handset. It's matched up to an Arrowhead second hand, which reaches out beyond onto the GMT wheel. Now let's get into that loom shot. Obviously we have the usual features of a loom shot here. The indices are loomed as well as the fence post handset. Now that has a well applied level of loom, but the real star of this show is the northern hemisphere on that globe, which is glowing in the green tone loom. Now obviously it's nice to see those two features separated in different colors of loom, but this also plays into that eco messaging that they are pushing with this piece. I'm a massive fan of this loom. It is an absolute beauty. Now I have a new feature for you in today's review. Over the years, I have definitely neglected the female opinion on this channel, but it's time for that to stop. The first thing that most of you do when you get a new watch is you go and show the woman in your life what it looks like. And usually in my experience, it has come with a comedic opinion or a very mean one. Now the only woman in my life is my nan, and she still doesn't quite understand what I do. So I decided to outsource a female opinion for this one. I sent over a picture of our new beautiful watch, and this is the opinion I got. The actual world is smaller than that. That definitely made me feel great about my tiny wrists. This piece is supplied on a nylon style band with a leather backing. It's very comfortable on wrist, but more importantly for me, it brings out the colours in the piece and it's matched up very well. They also offer this with other colour options. The white was definitely a favourite of mine. The buckle is substantial, well brushed, and it really had to be considering the dynamic case option that they've gone with here. I'm sure you can guess at least one of my moans for this piece. Not everyone is a fan of larger watches, and this one comes in at 43mm. I will say that the lug to lug definitely helps because of the angles at the edge of those lugs. It comes in much longer on the calipers than it actually wears. Overall, it's quite an elaborate piece, and I know that isn't always for everyone. Personally, I quite like elaborate designs and elaborate pieces. If you're someone that likes more classical watchmaking, it's probably not the one for you. Personally, I can very much appreciate what they have done here. They've stepped out onto the design floor and made something that really represents what they wanted, and that has to be admired, especially in the budget world. As well as that, the functionality that comes with it and the H34 movement does not hurt at all. Thanks for watching today, guys. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you think of WISHDOIT watches. Let me know if you'd like to see them on the channel again. It's been a while since I've had one of these pieces in. If you'd like to check out any of their other pieces or this one, if you'd like to pick it up, it is linked in the description. You do not need a code for that discount. It is 30% off at checkout and it brings it down to £230. Go and treat yourself. Remember to subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next one.